All right, we got everybody. Everybody's on. Everybody's good. Everyone can hear me. Okay. All right. Hey, just a couple things. So, like I say, I always try to make sure you guys got a full picture of what's going on. So, roster wise, we expect Miles been sick, so he'll be back today. Miles Jack, so he'll be on the field. Uh, Calebon will be on the field today, working his way back in, so he'll be out there. Calebon chasing. He'll be on the field. Also, um, Sims, the offensive lineman, is coming off COVID. He'll be on the field, and Rock Armstead will be on the field today. So those guys are going to be working on the field. Then, with Aaron Lynch retiring, we're at 79, and then we're working on getting in touch with a couple of people, but we'll probably go ahead and that move will be official, putting Josh Oliver on IR. So he'll go to IR now, and then that'll keep us at 80. As far as practice goes, the things you'll see, CJ Henderson wasn't feeling well today, so we're just gonna. It's not COVID related, so we're just gonna, kind of like Miles. So we're gonna probably keep him in. Ronnie Harrison reported symptoms of a concussion, so he's in concussion protocol right now. And I think that should have that's updated as far as where the team is and where the roster is. I feel really good about where the team is from a standpoint of health wise. We put in two good days, and they were off a day off. But I think because I don't talk to you guys every day, which is probably good for you guys. You don't want to hear my ass. But anyway, one of the things that you're going to see is the guys that have had a history of where we have to manage during the season. You're going to see tomorrow. We'll probably have about a bunch of guys inside working, doing things to help us through the season, and they won't be on the field tomorrow. So it's not going to be, when you guys come out there tomorrow, don't be like, holy cow, what the hell happened to everybody? Everyone will be everyone will be doing something. And, we're just taking those players that have had a history of management during the season or injuries in the past, and, working on those specific things to make sure that they're healthy through the season, because we are getting into a week where, we go 6 straight days until the next day off. So there's a lot of work ahead of us this week, and it's a big week. It's a week that we've got to get a lot of situational work in. We've got to get a lot of high contact in. So it'll be a little bit of a push this week as far as each and every day of getting better. I think Saturday we'll do some scrimmaging. Probably get some live plays in on Saturday, and then come back Sunday. We'll take the pads off on Sunday, do a lot of situational stuff, do a lot of cardio, things of that nature, less on the physical aspect of it. Come back Monday, be physical. Come back Tuesday, manage players again. Young guys out there, shorter practice. Wednesday, work on, getting some scrimmaging in again. And then, then obviously it'll be followed with a day off. So just trying to give you guys a sense of what we're trying to do schedule wise, and how we're managing the team and how we're getting everybody prepared. I got everything covered there, Tad.
That was great, Coach. Great opener right there. Let's go to Sam Kamaris.
Don't be a kiss ass. Just don't be a kiss ass. That's all. Don't be a kiss ass. All right. That's good.
Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
Do you remember, Doug, the first time you stepped on the field as a player and then also as a head coach, and you really noticed that there was a big crowd? And I can refresh your memory just a tad. In 83, when you were on the Syracuse roster, you guys played at Nebraska. In 84, you played at Florida and at Penn State. And then your second game as a head coach was at Penn State, and there were 106,000 people there. Do you remember that feeling that you really noticed, whoa, there's a lot of people here?
I think there's times where I think that you notice it. But I think anyone that's been in a competitive environment, there's a point of where you're really just focused on your opponent. So for me, to say, hey, did I notice a place was loud, or did I notice there was a lot of people? Yes. But what's funny is I think when you get into a huddle and the play is called, I really don't know that all that other stuff is blocked out of my mind, and nothing's going to get me off, off tilt as far as what my focus is. So I think that, I've talked to a lot of people in baseball. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big baseball guy. So I've talked to a lot about, hey, how do they handle their players and what their players think when they were playing? If that's where you're going with this, Sam, you know what I'm saying? I've talked to a lot of those people about, how they got the players ready, how they addressed them, what the deal was. And they kind of went about it the same way. A lot of the players at that level are, they just say, hey, listen, they're focused in, they're locked in, they're not, they're working with each other. So I think it goes to individual, meaning that if you used those situations to help you perform, then you've got to find a different avenue to help yourself there. But if you were just the guy that was focused and really, really focused in on your job and everything like that, then they feel like they didn't have any issues. It wasn't a big deal. Now they do, in baseball, they play in front of smaller crowds quite a bit, like in training camp, you know what I'm saying, things of that nature. I think for us, that's something that, we'll talk about. I've taken a bunch of notes and done everything, but, we're not ready to address that yet, to the players until we find out, who are the 53. But, it's something that I jumped on early because I knew with the way the stadiums were going to be, that would come up.
Where I was going is, you played in high school, maybe a few thousand people there. But
no,
the first time a couple hundred.
So let me just tell you about my high school. So we played at 10 o'clock on Saturdays, and I never knew why. And then I asked, why do we play at 10 o'clock? And we played at 10 o'clock because that's the least amount of crime going on at that time. So mostly, all the drug dealers and everyone are in. True, this is true. I mean, I'm not. I got big.
Hey, we played at 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoons for the exact same reason in DC.
So. And then I played in the middle of the project, so that was our home field. So you'll see. We never took our helmets off, and I got pictures of officials with hard hats on because people would throw things off the projects, the high rise, and you can pretty much die. So I would say we probably averaged about 50 people a game in high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, what about it? I don't want to take up too much more time, but I was just looking for everybody I've talked to says, boy, that first time, and a lot of times it was from high school to college, that you step onto a field and there's thousands of people there. As fans and as reporters, we look at professional athletes, professional coaches, and it's routine for you now. But boy, the very first time you have the same reaction as a lot of other people. Man, there's a lot of people here. That's all.
Yeah. Now I've progressed to thinking, I wonder what is that guy like when we drive in and I'm looking and I see all the tailgates. I'm like, damn, that steak looks good. That sausage and pepper sandwich. I wish I had that right now. So I think it goes through different things. I think a lot of these guys have played, when I first came into the NFL, they were like, well, we're playing in these stadiums and it's loud and it's the NFL. I'm thinking, wait a minute now. I've been in the SEC for 2 years. We average more people, you know what I'm saying? It's louder in the SEC than it is in the NFL. I think for some of the younger guys, I think it's one of those things like, hey, probably the biggest thing I would say that people recognize is when you're putting on that equipment. So whether it's gone from high school and the varsity or to that college or to the NFL, when you're in there and you're putting that thing on, you're like, holy shit. You know what I'm saying? I got an NFL patch. I got an NFL helmet on. I think that's what the first time and you go out there, I think that's pretty special for everybody.
That's great. Thank you, Doug.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam. Let's go to Demetrius and then Mark Long.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're doing well.
Yep.
I had a question about Ben Bartch. What have you sort of seen out of him and his transition to guard? And is he sort of ahead of where you would have expected him to be physically for a Division III player?
I try not to, in my experience, I've had a lot, well, not a lot, but I've had success with guys that come from, maybe small schools. And a lot of times people will think, well, hey, maybe a guy's from a smaller school, he's not going to be as technically evolved or has been coached as well. And, it couldn't be further from the truth. I think when you look at coaching, there's a lot of great coaches in high school, Division III, 1AA, and on up. Just because, I've always said, just because you have an NFL logo doesn't all of a sudden make you a better coach than anybody else. I mean, I think there's great coaches at all different levels. But I will tell you what I've seen from Ben and a lot of these other young linemen is that Ben specifically, I think, has the power, has the ability. So I'm really excited about him. Now a lot of times with linemen, sometimes when you're always trying to do things the right way, you tend to overthink a little bit, kind of holds you back, and you just kind of got to work yourself out of that. I think he's done a really nice job. I think, even you watch guys in their second and third year where Will Richardson's coming in. I think Tyler Shatley's playing really well right now. I mean, there's a lot of guys playing up front better now than I've seen before. I think, the young tackles that we have now, Sims is coming on. I liked him in college. We'll see where he is today. But Blake's done a good job. He's really improved. It's an interesting group. I think that we put, a lot of, I think when you start after the season and you're like, hey, I expect this group to make a big change. People maybe on the outside are wanting change, and that's all going on. And to think that, players don't hear that, I think they do. A lot of times we say, hey, we don't listen, we don't do this, but I think they did because it was coming from inside too. Hey, listen, this is what's going on, and you guys need to take a big step up. And the young guys that come in and competed, I'm excited. I see this, the same type of things that go on in the progression of becoming a player that's going on with those players. There's flashes of really good things. There's things that they may not have seen before, and that's what happens with pressure patterns and things of that nature that is just going to, they just need the reps, and that's what we're getting now. But I think that, he's a guy that can play multiple positions. And I think he can play guard. We've got him training at center. And then obviously we've seen him play tackle before. So, we feel real comfortable. He's done a good job along with all those young guys. So the decision of the depth of the team and potentially, where the players go in these next couple of weeks, it's going to be interesting. I think that so many young guys have shown, even though they're not from the big name schools, whether it's Miami of Ohio, or St. John's University, those guys are doing a nice job. They really are. A little bit, probably more progressed than I would think coming in. Does that make sense? Where they are.
Yep, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Demetrius. Let's go Mark and then D-Rock.
Yeah, Doug, I got a one that may have been asked a few weeks ago, and I'm just curious now. With the COVID situation, do you have less contact when you're in full pads, or are you continuing just like a normal camp?
Well, I'm trying to
because of COVID concerns and guys being right on each other.
Oh, okay,
full
yeah.
Pads.
No,
I'm more. Are you going to do that less or limit some of that? The time frame of that.
I don't think, Mark, that really came into play for me. You know what I'm saying? As far as that, what came into play for me, as far as what we're doing and how we're doing it, is one, I went back to college. I looked at that. Two, is not having this this off season. You know what I'm saying? And then players not having the ability to train the way they wanted to train. I mean, we've all done some things. So I think that I took that into consideration, because the two most important things to me, my principles of coaching, have always been what I've asked for from the player. Two things: coachability and availability. Okay. The coachability is the communication between the player and the coach, and we have to be able to communicate. But availability, now I have some, I've got to do a good job of making sure that we're training this team the right way in an area where it's never been done like this. So you're going to see people doing different things. And, I kind of make a goal for myself each day of saying, okay, here's how many, I'm trying to get, if I got 80 players on the roster, I want 80 players out there practicing. So my goal is, okay, how can I get everyone out there practicing? Because if I get everyone out there practicing, I've got a chance to get everybody better. So I think for me, it wasn't of the COVID and maybe that type of contact, because it's going to happen. So I want to see what happens now. If anything has become, as far as limited, changed, whatever it may be, it's more from not having the off season and getting the players ready for the season, for any of the things that we've done. But I haven't, I was interested to see what happens in that and how the players react, but I wasn't going to put more anxiety in there if there's any anxiety in there at all. Because I do think it's different,
Thanks, Mark. Let's go to D-Rock and then John Shipley.
Hey, Doug, are you changing the way that you scrimmage? Will it be the way you have before? Will you do something, like the college spring game type of thing?
That's all like garbled for me. I don't know. Could you repeat the question, Tad, or if anyone heard it? It's just not coming across well.
He said, will you change your approach for scrimmaging, like a college spring game, or is it going to be more drilled sessions? Like, what's going to be the setup for the scrimmage?
Well, I'm not going to give all that stuff away now, right? I mean, isn't that the fun part about coming in? I mean, no, it's going to be like we did it's like we did in college, and like I've done in the NFL, as far as, that you got to remember, most of the time we scrimmage before on usually the week before your first preseason game. I've always had a scrimmage. It's not going to be your spring game per se. It's going to be, some drills and controlled situational scrimmages.
Yeah, anything else?
There'll be a lot of team. There'll be a lot, it's not going to be something where you guys are like, holy shit, I've never seen this before.
Thanks,
good. Thank you.
Let's go to Shipley.
Oh, cool. Hey, Coach. You mentioned a couple times throughout the offseason that you expected the offensive line to be a group that takes a jump. I know it's early, only a couple padded practices, but do you like the progress you've seen so far?
Of the group?
Yeah.
You're talking about the offensive line?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like I said, I don't want to, it's always hard. You got Tad telling me to, hey, make sure you're all excited and you're upbeat and, hey, I got, and then, but I don't want to oversell or undersell, you know what I'm saying? A specific group of guys. And but I will say this, somewhere along the line between whatever happened after the season till now, that group has changed in a positive way. I think that group, from what I've seen, and this is, I know for a fact, I think that group is stronger. So they're a little bit more powerful now, or more powerful now, like on sleds and things of that nature. I was surprised to see how athletic, that they seem more athletic, you know what I'm saying? Which is I think they've worked hard. I've seen a lot of improvement technically. I think, we had guys that were injured, like Cam, coming back and just trying to survive, and but now technically I see us, continuing to get better, continue to stress that, which I think is going to help us. So I'm not ready to anoint this group, per se, but I'm extremely happy with the way they're working, the way they're preparing, and right now in their progression. So do we have a long way to go? Absolutely. But I think that group is, but to me, it's the right thing. George Warhop's an excellent football coach. Okay. Last year was his first year with that group. this is his second year. This is where you should see the development between the player and the coach, and those players develop. So, I kind of knew that going in. I have mentioned that in past interviews, and I think that's what we're seeing. So we've got to stay healthy and keep getting better.
All right,
and we got
thanks,
good
Coach.
depth and good young guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Shatley. We've got time for a couple more. Let's go to John Reed and then Gene.
How you doing, Coach?
Good, John.
I'll try my hand to ask this question. You probably won't answer it, but what do you feel about the Yannick situation? Are you monitoring it right now, or is it, what's going on?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So rarely, and you guys know, I mean, I'm not the only person that, I mean, my wife may call me because she wants me to, I've got something to do, or I didn't do what I was supposed to do, right? I mean, that's the only time I'm ever on the phone. So yesterday, I get, people from, national media, you know what I'm saying? Like how they get my number, I don't know. They're like asking me about the same thing that you just asked me, like the situation. I don't know. I go back to what I've said before. I think that, as we go through this training camp, these things are going to come up. What's real and not real, I don't know. I really don't. I think, David said it before. Hey, when something does come up and it's something is real, he'll come out and he'll announce it. But I think, it's going to be speculation. It's kind of like what I told Tad. I'm like, Tad, we're not going to chase all these things, every time these things come up. I mean, I still go at the end of the day, hey, listen, I want what's best for Jan. I mean, he's done everything I've ever asked him to do. I think he's an excellent football player. But now it goes back to the business end, where, in the end of the day, I hope everybody gets what they want. For me, I just want the player to be happy. And then we'll just see where it goes. But, right now it's hard for me. Like when you say monitor, here's how the monitor to me is Tad telling me, hey, this is what's out there. Or, me getting a phone call from someone I would never expect saying something. Then I go to Tad. But I got so much stuff going on here with these guys. I really don't have time to spend a lot of time. I can't even watch, I just couldn't even watch the Yankee game last night. I had to go to bed, so I don't monitor that stuff.
What do you think how would you assess your backup quarterbacks right now? Lennon and Dobbs, those guys. I mean, how do you feel they've been getting the ball down the field for you?
Yeah, I think they I think everyone, I think there's competition. I mean, I'm not, I don't really know right now, like, who's two. I think, a lot of times, I think sometimes it's always great if you can make a decision early. But if those guys are competing and doing a good job, I think, you just got to let it play out. I mean, that's probably the best way to say it. I know it's probably not the answer people want. I'm happy where Gardner is. I mean, he's really in tune to what's going on. I think all those guys that have been here have gotten better. I think, Jake's done a really nice job for a young guy. I feel good about where those guys are. And then, I think we're going to have some tough decisions of who's two, who's three. And, we might wind up keeping all four or keeping three, but they're making it a little tougher, depending on the roster.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, Jay Reed. Let's go to Gene, and then we'll finish up with Jordan. Gene is muted in Tampa. Gene, you're still muted.
Wait, Gene covering the Bucks now? Covering Tampa Bay?
Ditched us for the day. Let's go to Jordan, and we'll finish with Gene.
Gene's probably becoming a Tampa Bay.
He covers whatever he covers, Doug.
They cover Gene. Go ahead, Jordan.
Hey, Coach. Penalties last couple season have been a pretty big issue for the team. I was wondering if you're doing anything different to address that this year, or if you're focusing more on that this year.
I'm sorry, Jordan. I missed the beginning of what's been a big issue.
No problem. Penalties.
Oh my
Team
God.
Penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it's interesting. If you talk to anyone in analytics, they'll tell you that really penalties, don't play into the wins and losses, to a certain extent. You look at teams that have won Super Bowl, they've been highly penalized. But when you're not, when you don't have the ability to overcome, right? Like sometimes people have, you just have great playmakers on either side of the ball, or, defensively you're able to cause a bunch of turnovers, and offensively you can make these big plays. Then I don't think penalties come into play as much. Does that make sense? Because you're able to overcome them. I think when you don't have that, those things aren't occurring. There's a big difference, and we've started to talk to our team about it. We're constantly coaching it because I do have a concern. I have a concern of we as coaches. I know it takes me a while to practice to get myself ready, to do a better job coaching. Does that make sense? I mean, I've got to get on. Usually when I get on the field, I can see a little bit, but I can't see the whole picture yet. And then eventually, after a couple of practices, then I can start seeing everything. Then I'm kind of like in that mode. Players are the same way, right? They come in. Well, why would the officials be any different, right? And I'm a little, now the officials aren't doing really that type of training or on the field. So, I keep telling the players, I'm really concerned about that. And I want to make sure. And now, because of the tiers on what we can have here, we used to always have the officials at practice, where we can keep an eye on that. Well, we don't have them because, we can't afford to bring in tier 1 people, that just are going to do practice. So we as coaches have been on it, quite a bit. So, we talked about, I look at penalties a couple different ways. Unforced errors are unexcusable. Sometimes they're going to occur. Sometimes it's worth taking it rather than giving up touchdowns, but there's a lot of situations that go into it. But yes, we've been on top of it. We've been talking about it. We're working on it. We're making the players aware of it, and we're doing the best job I believe we can, to solve that problem. Because you're right, it is a problem for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jordan. Let's go finish with Gene.
Thanks. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Gene.
Based on where your roster's at right now, it appears that you're definitely going to be relying on some new people to help fill out the rotation on the interior defensive line. Could you talk about what you've seen from the guys beyond Avery and beyond Taven and the Devon Hamiltons and the other guys that you've picked up at those positions?
Yeah, I think first, well, Devon, everyone I think knows Taven. Taven's gotten much, he's gotten a lot better. So I'm really excited about where Taven is. Abe's a guy that has been very consistent with us and can play multiple positions. And then Devon's really starting to come on now. So a lot of these guys that come in, especially up front, like I've always said, the closer you are to the ball, the harder it is to play. Because the physical aspect of it, there's a lot of things going on. It's quick. So Devon really in these past 2 days has really taken a good step. So I'm excited for where he is and his progression as he goes, because we know he can play, and it's the same thing like we were talking about Ben. A lot of these guys come in and they're thinking a lot instead of just going ahead and playing, and then it's a normal progression to work themselves through that. Obviously we brought in Tim Jernigan. I think he's done a really good job. What's going on? You all right?
My wife's phone's going off.
Oh, okay. I thought, yeah, be careful if you're driving. Or a passenger. I think, with Tim Jernigan, he's done a really good job. He's a guy that's played. So, I'm happy with where he is. Carl Davis is a guy, we want to be able to have him for the first couple of days, but he's a big guy in there. What's interesting is, the next couple of guys, Casas has done a really good job for us. He's a young guy, so we'll see where he goes. Adam, we've gotten from Denver. He played. He's going to really be able to help us, at the big end position. Smoot's really has gotten a lot better. I just think in the next couple of this week of these 6 days, I think we'll know a lot more because of the physicality that's going to pick up. You know what I'm saying? As far as the line play. and I'll have a lot better feel for where those guys are. But as far as their effort and trying to do the right thing and everything, I have no issue with. Now it's just a matter of, hey, are they going to be good enough for us, to win games and stop the run? I mean, that's what we've talked about from the beginning. I think they have the ability, and now we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see, the physical part of it. When we're really leaning on it and seeing how they can handle, these next couple of days and seeing their progression.
Thanks.
Joe, no problem.
All right, guys. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Coach, Gene, if you need any help, let us know. We'll see everybody on the practice field shortly. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Gene.
Thanks.